Welcome to Rocktober, our UNIRock Halloween spooky celebration video. We're going to be doing this all throughout October. Hope you decide to hang out with us. It'll at least be fun. At least it will be a fun time. Hey, Rocky, Geese, what's up, guys? Let's hope that the notifications went out tonight. We didn't get any that went out yesterday. It's okay. The UNIRockers still showed up. It just took them about 5 minutes because they didn't get a notification. But my, do I have some spooky stories to tell you. They're spooky fresh stories to tell you, to celebrate Halloween, October, and remember, I'm magic. Dennis, Little Sprout, Nana, Raymond, Jeanette, Wilmot, Debbie, Ben. Let's do this. So I've got the Bizzy band. They're like, you know, every single late night talk show has a band. You know, they got a band. I'm working on getting them a camera. I was going to get them a camera a long time ago, but you know how they've been misbehaving lately, so I canceled the idea. No, you really have not been being nice. It's not a condition of how much you drink. Just take a couple shots, because Bizzy is a chicken. He's a chicken shit. It's a person who gets scared easily. He'll admit that. He really will. I don't want to let you talk to him. I don't want to let you talk to him. He wants to talk to you for a second. One moment, please. I don't know why you got to do this, Bizzy. We're busy right now. We are busy.
UNIRock is lying to you. I'm not scared of nothing. He's the chicken shit. I scare him all the time. I kind of pop out of places and go boo.
Thanks, Bizzy. That was helpful. That was so helpful. Can we do the show? Okay. You're not reading the scary stories. That's my job. Are you done with your intro song, for God's sake? Good. Okay, good. Just please start the show. There it is. There is the intro. All right. Pardon me really fast. I've got to change the subtitle from MK Ultra microphone to hashtag UNIRocktober. There it is. Man, that looks good. I like that. I very much enjoy it. Okay, let's get right into it. So, Halloween / October is one of my favorite, you know, is it a holiday? You guys tell me in the chat. Is Halloween considered a holiday? No one's telling me yet. Well, we do have like a 3-second delay. Boo, says Peter. You guys, we got some scary stories. So let's start right here on Ask Reddit. This is the subreddit Ask Reddit, if that is a subreddit. In the spirit of Halloween, paranormal or not, what is the scariest, creepiest, or most unsettling experience of your life? Now, the first one's really good. I didn't read a lot of these. It is a holiday? It's the only holiday, says Peter. I can handle that. 15 years old, I had just got home from work, so I went to my bedroom to change out of my work clothes and get ready for bed. And I'm in the middle of undressing when I look to my bedroom window to catch my reflection, and I see a man's face. I drop to the floor and turn off the lights, scrambling to get dressed, still watching the window. The face is gone, but I'm still watching. Then, a fucking camera. That would creep me out. No face, just a camera pointed at me, sitting on the floor. I bolt from my room. I tell my mom and brother. My brother went outside, and our ladder from the backyard was just lying there. No one around. Couldn't sleep for a year after that. Just stared at the window. Haven't thought about that in years. Thanks, Reddit. From Judgy McJudgerton. That's a pretty good Reddit name. Judgy McJudgerton. I have a similar story, but I do believe that there was a camera and someone was taking some pictures. That's a peeping Tom situation. I don't know if that falls into Halloween scary, but it's just as Halloween scary as Halloween. So I have a story like this. When I was young, I have a memory, and I could have been 5, I could have been 8, had to have been under 10 because me and my brother had this room that we shared, and when my sister was born, we moved to a different room, and we like built onto the house. I'm not going to get into it. You lived in a haunted house in Tennessee? I got to hear about that sometime. So look, when I was in the old room, sometime between 5 and 8 years old, I had a bed on one side, my brother had a bed on the other, and sometimes we'd push, like, it'd make an L. We'd, like, give ourselves more room to play on the other side, right? We were crazy. So I'm staring out the window, and it's a storm. Now, I was terrified of tornadoes. Now, my mother told me she was in a tornado. And where I lived at back then, it was like a valley. So someone said, tornadoes don't ever come here because they kind of like ride off the side of the hills outside the valley. But they'd always say this, and I think it's what gave me this terrifying fear of tornadoes. They would say, if a tornado did get inside the valley, it would just bounce around back and forth and kill everybody. That's an excellent thing to tell a child, right? It doesn't mean anything. Does not explain my craziness. Bizzy, I swear you are... He's a chicken shit. He is a chicken. You're the chicken, Biz. Whenever I will shut a cabinet and you'll like jump up to the ceiling. That's what being scared is. I don't even think he knows the definition of being scared. Okay. I'm gonna skip this one because it's just dumb. Oh, I forgot to tell you why we're doing this. So I'm gonna try to do some scary videos on the main channel. Now, they're not gonna be scary with the intent of making up stuff. It's gonna be real life strange. Now, so on my main channel, UNIRock on YouTube, I do, you know, any strange topic that I think is cool or interesting, I do a video on it. That's how I pick my videos. I just like picking cool, interesting topics, especially if they have to do with internet mythology. But anyway, on my main channel, to celebrate UNIRocktober, that's just our Halloween celebration here at the channel, I'm gonna find spooky, strange topics to hit. And before we get back, I gotta show you a channel that I interviewed a long time ago. Night Terrors. The YouTube channel Night Terrors. By the host is Bill Madden. This dude makes great videos. In fact, I've interviewed him myself. Listen to how awesome his intro is. Hold on, let me play it for you because it's just freaking straight awesome. Hold up.
Appeared there for several hours. When the
he talks in a really, really spooky way, and that's like one cool thing about it. But his themes. So here's a focus on a channel before we tell the next scary story. This is Night Terrors, and of course you have to subscribe because Bill was nice enough to come to my channel and let me interview him, and he was like, "I've never been interviewed like this before," and I'm like, "That's what I do, bro." But anyway, let's take a look because he has a great channel. It's awesome. Well, that's just the short version, damn it. Where's his long, awesome intro? Hold on, I'm gonna play it. I bet it's down here. Here, I bet you I'll get that long, awesome intro. Hold up.
First appearing in 1940.
Oh, yeah, here it is. Here it is. Okay, he's been shorting the damn intro down. That wasn't my fault, okay? That's Bill, what are you doing with that awesome intro? You gotta play that thing, bruh. All right, let's move on to another spooky story, because during Rocktober, while I'm live, I'm gonna find the best spooky story, and then I'm gonna put it in a video, and I'm gonna animate it and use video and pictures and stuff and things. And also, as a part of Rocktober, I don't have the books over there. One part of UNIRocktober, I'm gonna pick every few days or every week, I'm gonna pick a spooky animal and I'm gonna do a video on it. Oh my god, my channel sounds like a kid's channel. No, it's not a... You watch it. That does kind of... You're right, it does make it a kid's channel. I know it's not what you said, but seriously, you're watching it? You do watch it every night. I'm gonna pick a spooky animal and do like a feature on the animal. And the animal I picked first is owls. And I found a book while I was live on Twitter. I walked into a store just randomly, and there was a book, and it was from 1983, and it was every species of owl in the United States, North America, and it detailed them completely with pictures, and it just got real detailed. So I'm gonna do an entire video on owls, and if I like it, I might do more animal videos. I don't know. But anyway, you know what I do. I'm always trying to expand my content on the main channel. And basically, the stuff we do here is going to help me dictate what we do on the main channel. So let's get into another spooky story. But this is only the tip of the iceberg. Because you just wait till I get to these big stories. These, like, they've got thousands and thousands of upvotes on Reddit. And they are just the most detailed, crazy stories you've ever heard. We're gonna finish the night off with those, and my god, are they scary. They could make movies out of that shit. You know what I'm saying? Let's move on. When I was a teen, I worked at a cable access studio, and I made many movies. My neighbors gave me their father's old video camera. They told me he never used it, but it didn't seem to work anymore, and had a tape jammed in it. I fixed it up, and on the tape was hours of him driving around at night and filming people through their windows. Nothing sexual was on it, but there was something unsettling about seeing Peeping Tom footage of a guy eating dinner with his family, or over 20 minutes of girls dancing around in their room. I wonder if it was the guy from the first story who was peeking in the window. I'm just saying. If while we get going, you have a spooky story you want to type into the comments, I'll read it. Just make sure you let me know. That's pretty spooky. I was watching scary movies and I got hungry, so I decided to go out for a late night Taco Bell run. Don't we all? I lived alone at the time, so it was quite a shock when I opened up the door and a hand was reaching in after me. I slapped the door on the offending arm and ran and grabbed a butcher knife. After closing all the blinds and sitting in the dark for an hour, I worked up the nerve to look outside. I was shocked to find a bunch of Chinese food menus for a new restaurant scattered on the ground. The guy was just advertising, that's all. My brother and I were probably... Did I ever finish the tornado story? Bizzy, did you interrupt me? Yeah, you did? Damn it! Okay, so the tornado story ends. I'm looking out the windows when I was, I was talking about the tornadoes bouncing around in the valley, and it scared me that they said that. Well, anyway, I'm staring. There's a big storm, and the wind's blowing, and I'm a kid, and it's like one of those days where electricity was just charged in the air. And I'm looking out the window, and I'm staring at these clouds. They're moving fast and swirling around, and I swear, I didn't blink. I was just staring for probably an hour, but eventually, I was staring for so long, I saw a tornado start to go down towards the ground. And I blinked and rubbed my eyes, and I turned around and ran downstairs, and I'm screaming for my brother and my mom, and I think my dad was at work, and I'm like, there's a tornado, there's a tornado. And we run and look out, and it was nothing, but I saw it. I even remember it. It was so scary. It was so, like, mentally damaging for some reason that, like, I can see the image of those clouds swirling down in my mind anytime I think about it. Crazy shit, right? My brother and I were probably about 7 and 5 respectively. We used to wake up every weekend and play computer games before my parents woke up. One day we turned on the computer and got an eerie message that was directed to us. It said, quote, "Hello, Kid A and Kid B. This is your computer talking and I am alive. Do not run and tell your parents. They cannot help you now." Turns out my dad had programmed the computer to say that on startup. That was the mid-90s. It was the mid-90s. That kind of shit was pretty fucking awesome in the mid-90s, right? You can't do that now. Kids be like, "Dad, did you play a trick on me?" When I was about 7 to 8 years old, my family rented a house close to the beach for a week. The drive wasn't very long, but as an 8-year-old, by the time we got there, I really had to feed the porcelain stallion. Oh, come on. We pulled into the driveway and are met by a middle-aged woman who owned the house and showed us the place and told us about the town and what to do, etc. My first instinct was to find the bathroom, so I asked, and she tells me it's on the second door on the right after the kitchen. I go inside and open up the bathroom door to an older guy just standing there looking at me. I kind of duck my head down, say sorry, went back outside. They noticed I was back pretty fast, and I told them there was someone in the bathroom already. That's when it got weird. The lady looked at me confused and said, "There's no one else in this house." I explained that I definitely saw someone in that bathroom. After searching the house, we found no evidence of anyone else being there. After a while, the lady told us her dad owned the house and lived there and recently passed away. She inherited the house and wasn't sure what to do with it, so she started renting it out. Pretty sure I saw that dude. Those are the kind of stories that creep me out, right? Those stories of like, you know, people see things because they get hyped and stuff, or they might hear a noise and look and take a glimpse and see something, but it's almost like you're primed to see it, or you're already thinking about it, or you're worried about it, so it happens. But I've had some paranormal spooky-ass kind of shit happen to me too. Gloria says, my best friend lived in a haunted house. Spirits would attack friends that come to visit them, but never attack them. Spirits would attack friends that came to visit them, but never attacked them. They moved because all their friends kept getting hurt. Oh, I see. They would attack anyone else that came in the house, but never the family. Okay, I've heard stuff like this. Now, I've dated girls who swear they believe in ghosts. I'm not gonna... I was gonna say Rachel believes in ghosts and shit. She gets spooked out sometimes, but I didn't want to get smacked later, so... Okay. Oh, let me unlock my chat. My friend and I were driving down the highway late at night. A car... This is what the funk. A car was turning into the highway. We passed it. My friend said, "Did you see that?" Yep. The car looked like it was covered in black oil. Continued, says what the funk. I'll wait on you to type the rest. I've been in houses that they claim are haunted. Mythical Magnus said, I had 2 cats that died. I moved before the 3rd cat got killed. They used to protect me from a ghost. I have tried to put myself in places where I might see a ghost, but it never happened, says Nana. Lava Girl says, the creepier the better. Kev is live too? Yeah, we can stream Steption later. Oh, he was gaming. I saw that, actually, now that it pops into my mind. Real News says, I lived in Chicago, and just on Fridays and Saturday nights, if we turned lights out in the kitchen and dining room, you can sit in the living room and see white specters go across the dining room. Serena, I played Pokemon Go with 5 friends at a graveyard at midnight looking for ghost-type Pokemons. It's so fun. Ah, Trip and Fall says, my husband worked on a ship and told me a few stories. Nietzsche says, Uni, have you seen the clip of the ghost boy on the movie 3 Men and a Baby? Wait a minute. Hold up. Let me see this thing. I've seen that. Yes, I know what that is. I've heard the explanation. Here, let's look at it. 90 Kid says, when my grandfather passed away, I went in the living room and was the only one there, and he was right there laying on the couch. I can't explain it. If I was so young and made myself think that, I don't know. 90, bro. I swear, man. I've been in situations like that, too. I swear, bro. I swear things like that are almost semi-real. What the funk? Here's what the funk's end of the story. The car we passed was on morning news. She was killed in a head-on collision a couple miles from where she was turning onto the damn highway. My goodness. That freaks me out, man. Yeah, this was debunked. Now, this is what people say it was. I'm not telling you that this is true because this doesn't look like Mel Gibson. Wait, why'd I say Mel Gibson? Doesn't look like that guy. This is supposed to be one of the actors. They had a cardboard cutout for him, and they put it up, and someone just, like, stuck it over there, and then it accidentally got filmed. You can almost see why, because, look, you can see how flat it is. It actually does look pretty flat, right? I don't know. It's up to you to believe, though. Okay, here's another story. Trust me, it's not the, it's my monitor and the lighting. I gotta get the lighting fixed on this, dude. It's ridiculous. But yeah, see my skin tone? This is my real skin tone right here. But look what happens as it gets closer to the light. See how it turns me white? It's just a optical illusion. Simon Daughter, here on Reddit, posted this story. Take a listen. This is the story of how a creepy encounter with a scary man at a harbor cafe saved me from something even more terrifying. It was the autumn of 1994 and I was 19. At the time, my dad had been working for almost 6 months abroad and I was planning a surprise visit. My dad and I have always been close. I am an only child and my mother died of cancer when I was still a baby. So it was just my dad and I, really. A tiny little family, but he made up for it by being the most awesome parent ever. Now that I wasn't a little kid anymore, I appreciated that more and more. I had booked the ticket and was ready to go. I just missed something. It was going to be great fun to surprise him with a visit. I had to take the ferry, though, and I just gotten my driver's license and felt really unhappy about having to drive my little car on board the ferry and decided not to bring the car at all and just rent one once I got there. Having time to spend, I decided to have a coffee at a nearby cafe since I was early and they hadn't started letting people onto the ferry yet. At the cafe, there were lots of truck drivers and I soon realized I was the only woman there. One man, a 40-ish bloke with ice blue eyes and tattoos all over, was eyeing me from across the room. Something about him made my skin crawl. I got up to leave, feeling suddenly very uncomfortable, and to my utter horror, he followed. What do I do now? I asked myself. This was before everyone owned a cell phone, I might add. I decided to try and look busy. Maybe he'd leave me alone. So I pulled out my ticket and tried to look like I was reading it really carefully when he suddenly snatched it from my hand and said, quote, "I'm on the same boat. I have hours of your company then." "Oh, I'll have hours of your company then. How lovely." In a voice that was absurd combination of jovial flattery and hidden hostility. I felt it very strongly that if I had gotten on that boat with this man who knew my booking details, I'd be in grave danger. I can't explain why the feeling was so overwhelming, but it was. I decided there and then not to get on the boat. The ticket had been cheap anyway. I could get on the next one. I hid in the ladies' room until I knew the ferry had left, and then I went to rebook my ticket. The story could have ended here. A creepy encounter with a stalkerish man, but it doesn't. I was right in the assumption that getting on that ferry would have been unbelievably dangerous. Have you figured it out yet? The date was September 28th of 1994. The name of the ship was the MS Estonia. And that cold night, she sank in the Baltic Sea, taking 852 people with her, resulting in the worst ferry catastrophe to strike Sweden to this day. I still recall that day with horror and wonder what would have happened if this creepy man had not taken an interest in me. If I had not listened to my instinct and gotten on board instead of waiting for the next boat, would I have been among the survivors? Or would my dad have seen my name on the list of lives lost in the Baltic Sea? Damn, that's chilling. Hold up. I need a second. All right, here we go. Cop here. So we got a cop. A police officer. Do cops call themselves cops? I've never heard a cop refer to himself as a cop. I've posted this story before, so it may sound familiar. I was dispatched to a house at about 1 a.m. for a prowler. We got there and talked to the residents. Long story short, they saw two people wearing masks. One a Jason-style hockey mask, don't remember the other, in the yard across the street. It was like 2 weeks past Halloween, so it seemed believable. We checked the area and we don't see anything. 10-8. It's worth noting the residents didn't seem drunk or high or even crazy at all. A few times you'll get similar calls and get there to find the resident is just strung out on meth and seeing shit. However, back to the story. An hour later, we get called back. This time we have our dispatcher on the phone with them while we are in the surrounding area. We, about 5 of us, are in a perfect... Let me turn that down a little bit. Are in a perfect position. Dispatch tells us they can see the prowlers in the next yard. We start to move in. Dispatch says the residents saw the two prowlers wave and move into the shed. Guess where I am? That's right, next to the shed. I give verbal commands, bang on the door, and nothing. F it, fine, I'll come in after you. Doors open and empty. I even think to check for a trap door. Nothing. It raised about 4 inches, so there isn't even a possibility of a door leading out. Again, check the area and find nothing. I talked to residents. They said as I was moving in on the shed, the two put their finger to their lips giving a shh sign and they both waved. They moved into the shed as I was next to it. We went over every possibility trying to come up with an explanation. If the caller was just effing with us, they had no prior history of it, as in repeated calls for service at the address. And I'm not much of a believer in paranormal stuff, but I can still appreciate a situation where I cannot logically explain what just happened. There's a comment. Please play the X-Files theme at the end of this. That's a good comment. One night about 10 months ago, and this was edited, this is from a year ago. One night about 10 months ago, there was a pretty heavy snowstorm in my area. All of the roads were closed, and a curfew was issued for everyone except emergency medical personnel. I'd been shoveling snow for most of the day and was dead tired come nightfall. Didn't have the energy to do much of anything besides eat dinner and lay down. I fire up some OG Star Trek and begin to doze off. A couple hours later, like around 1 a.m., I hear the sound of a door rattling and a slight whisper saying my name. Vladimir Ponin. Probably not his, saying his real name. He's just being silly. I sit up a bit and realize it's coming from my parents' room, becoming fainter with the passing time. After 10 minutes or so, I gather up the courage to see what the hell is going on. What is that? Shifty? Shifty folding a knife in hand. I peek out to the hallway and don't see anything. The noise is still coming from the room next door, the rattling becoming more rushed as I approach. Cautiously, I open the door and sneak inside. It's pitch black and I can't see anything. My eyes are taking entirely too long to adjust to the darkness. I'm shuffling forward and all of a sudden something grabs and pulls on my leg. At this point, I was so freaked out I jumped back. As the whispers continued, I recognized my dad's voice. He was asking me for help. He had a stroke while walking to use the bathroom around 1 that night, and after he fell, he was able to use his left foot to rattle the door to his bathroom. My mom fell asleep on the couch in the living room and wasn't around to help her here. I was able to grab the house phone and call 911, and despite the weather, the police and an ambulance arrived in 10 minutes. It was the scariest night of my life. The doctors told us there wasn't much hope for my dad after going into surgery since he had a hemorrhagic stroke and there was massive amount of bleeding. Fast forward 10 months and my old man is cognitively the same, just paralyzed on the right side. Had every infection under the sun in the hospital, but he staved them off and is still with us today. My best friend before the incident and my hero after. Heard some rattling and whispers, freaked out, found my dad lying on the ground after a massive stroke. Edit, well, this got way more attention than I thought it would. Thanks for all the kind replies. It's a crazy story. This is not paranormal, but is immensely creepy at the same time. I was visiting my hometown and decided to pick up my old high school friend from his house and take him to dinner and a drink to catch up. He's kind of stressed and tells me that his ex, with whom he had broken up with over 2 years prior, had been stalking and harassing him. I drive him home afterwards and it starts to drizzle. As I drop him off at his house, the neighborhood was dark and quiet by now, we both noticed a bag tied to my side view mirror. It was likely attached when we were at the restaurant. We open it to see a poorly taken photo of a tree taken at night with a flash. That's creepy as hell. Seriously, that's creepy as hell. There was a brief letter, obviously written from his ex, that said, I buried our first love letter under this tree years ago. This tree is growing from our love. I made sure my friend got to his house all right and got the heck out of there. That's terrifying. That scares me. And it's not even my ex. Holy shit, son. That's crazy. Psychonautic. Ruth says, there are stories of chains and moorings clanging in the fog, dead of night. No response to foghorns. No blip on the radar. Columbia River light boat stationed off TBC. Truth Seeker says, I was watching AJ today. Oh, yeah. Oh, gotcha. Next story. When I was 16 in the mid-90s, aka the I know everything and I'm invincible and you can't stop me age, I got in a fight with an acquaintance while a whole bunch of us were hanging out at his house. A stupid fight. Can't remember what about, but I decided, fuck it, I'm going home. I lived about 5 miles away and I didn't have a car, and since it was 2 a.m. there were no buses and I was gonna walk. I've actually had that happen. I actually used to go in town and hang out with my friends, and even though I had a car, I'd walk home. I'd ride with one of them and I would walk home, and it would be like a couple miles. I just liked walking home at night. Isn't that freaking weird, dude? So crazy. In the middle of the night, though, a not as safe as it seemed neighborhood as a tiny 16-year-old girl. So I think, in hindsight, my friends either didn't believe I was going to do it, or were too startled by the sudden argument to realize what I was doing. I left the house and started hoofing it. About a mile out, the suburban housing neighborhood melted into a main street with highway access. I started to notice a grayish minivan following me. It would follow me, pass me, turn a corner, and about 3 blocks later, it would do the same thing. I mean, a really, really obvious what it was doing. I crossed over to the other side of the street, so I was walking the opposite of the traffic flow. Thus, no car could come up behind me, and I kept doing it on the other side of the street. About a mile later, there was a 24-hour Fred Meyer, West Coast USA grocery all-purpose store. Lights bright, but parking lot empty-ish. I immediately crossed the lot and went to head inside. Just before I got to the doors, the minivan that had been following me pulled up into one of the parking spots. A guy called out from the driver's side and said, "I don't want you to walk over here. Just stay there and listen. I wanted to let you know what I was doing. I saw you walking a while back, but I also saw a darker car was following you. A couple of times you went to turn around or stopped, so I started following you down a parallel side street. When I saw it, I started to follow you both, just to make sure you were safe. Go inside the store and call someone to pick you up, please. I haven't seen the car since you headed across the lot." He waited until I was inside the store and then pulled away. I didn't have anyone to call, so I just let the night cashier know what I was doing and hung out with her for an hour and a half. Then I finished the walk home, and I've never forgot about the incident or that man, whoever he was. During that walk, I never saw the dark car he mentioned, but I've always been convinced that he saved my life that night. Did he save her life, or was he, the stalker, realized that she noticed what he was doing and tried to give himself an out? Well, there's only one way to know. You tell me in this vote. 1 in the live chat means he's saving her. 2 means he's the stalker. Tell me what you think. 1, that he's saving her. 2, he was the stalker. That's a good idea. That's a good point. He would have offered her a ride if he was the stalker, someone said. Yeah, I could see that. You know what? Yeah, I'm with you. I'm half and half. Why is that so bright over there? That monitor, I've got the brightness turned all the way down. So freaking bright, dude. I don't know, man. Those type of things creep me out, man. Just creeps me the hell out. Okay, so thanks for the vote. You guys rock. Next up on UNIRock Rocktober, the series where we talk about spooky Halloween culty kind of things to get all creeped out before Halloween hits at the end of the month. I'm going to look at some more stories that are a little more crazier in nature, and we're going to look at some abduction stories. No, don't worry, not people abducting people, but claims of alien abduction. Let's go. Now, we've got 2 places where people describe their alien abductions. Jonathan Bradley, what's up, bro? Thanks, her life is crazy. I have reversed my diabetes to only needing oral meds, and I just want to dance. I'm so happy for you, Lily. That's freaking amazing. Keep going. Keep going. Okay. We're going to hit 2 different Reddits where people that have been abducted describe their stories. Now, I hope you understand this about Reddit. People take Reddit very seriously. They expect you to be able to communicate like a human being. They expect you not to lie. When you give them bullshit, they call bullshit. So let's see what's up with this. My theories are very terrestrial by nature. I'm one of those jet fuel doesn't melt steel beams. Charlie Manson was the subject of MK Ultra. More rain, damn it, harp type of people. A regular jagoff. I'm very skeptical but haven't ventured much out of the ordinary as far as conspiracy. This occurred a year ago, and it still bothers me when I think about it. Busy, it's time for some better music for the story. Is your record skipping or what? I thought you were a band. You're not a DJ, don't do it again. Anyways, a former coworker learned about me and told me who he was into. Way crazier shit than me. I told him, send me links, show me what you got. I'm game. I have the day off, so I spend some time watching the videos he sent me. Subject matter includes giants frozen in ice, angel genetics, the Hadron Collider being used to open a demon portal. This shit is a bit too out there for me, a little too wild. Something that stood out to me was some videos he sent me about the moon, different theories about it not being a moon at all, but a hologram or a military base. That is not outside the realm of possibility, so I sit on it and think about it and inevitably become very paranoid and feel like I'm now on a list somewhere and shouldn't have watched those videos. If you watch videos and think you're being put on a list, you are too crazy and you need to stop watching them. That night, I am not sure what time, but it was fully dark. I was trying to sleep, but the moon was shining insanely bright through the window. No matter where I moved on the bed or how I changed my line of sight, I swear to fuck the moon would within seconds be back in front of my closed eyelids. I'm fighting this for a good half hour and then it happens again. I open my eyes and the moon is closer to my window. The next few times it occurs, I swear it looked like it got unnaturally larger and closer every time. It made me so afraid that I ended up paralyzed with dread. I couldn't stop thinking, they know that you know. I don't remember what happened after. I don't remember falling asleep. I remember waking up in the very early morning, but that's it. And I got blackout curtains the next day, and I started not thinking about it. Some of you seem to know about things of this nature. What's your take on this? The moon seemed to be consciously following me, changing size and coming closer. I gotta see what some of the replies were to this, though. It's extremely common for abductions and visions of the moon getting larger and or closer to be connected. It's happened to my mom and sister on different occasions. It's akin to owls being used as screen memories. LOL, says someone. What? Says someone. What? I'm dead serious. It was most likely a paranoid hallucination after watching all those videos and convincing yourself. Probably. What? SLDL 231194. Is this you again? Nah, I'm new. What the hell does that mean? Okay, this shit's crazy, brah. This shit's crazy, dude. So the question is, has anyone ever encountered a praying mantis alien? Well, do you want to know what they said? You gotta watch UNIRock. Here we go. Tell you this, I've had sleep paralysis myself, but in a weird way. So, back when I was younger, I would have nightmares, and then after the military, I would have really bad nightmares, right? So, I would wake up in the nightmare, but I would still be dreaming. What I mean is, I would know I was dreaming, the dream would look completely real, like I could decide what to do. I'd be like, I know I'm dreaming. There's a killer chasing me. I need to wake myself up. Now, this is completely freaking real. I mean this. I would fucking get so sick of having these nightmares that always at a point when I'd get so scared in the dream that I would start to come out of it and wake up, and I'd be kind of paralyzed and dreaming and, you know, at the same time. So I would tell myself in the dream, you know you're dreaming, you just need to open your eyes. And I would take my hand in the dreams and go like this and try to open my eyes. And I would wake up doing it. That's a true story. I can't believe I just told you that, because now you're going to think I'm crazier than you already think I am. Okay. Now, I'm going to tell you this. The next part of this is not for the meek. It's not for the easily scared. And I'm warning you, okay? Because I don't like spooking you guys out. I don't like giving you nightmares. I'm just going to let you know what we're about to read is pretty freaking scary. So the question was, has anyone... I can't talk. I got to do the I can't talk dance. Okay. The question is, has anyone ever encountered a praying mantis alien? This is the deep side of Reddit, y'all. We're getting deep. Hey, I encounter a praying mantis alien every time I go to YouTube and type in praying medic. Damn it, Bizzy, you have to be on it with the laugh track. You cannot do this to me. You cannot do it. The clapping will work. Thank you. That was a great joke. Thank you. Thank you. Praying medic joke. Okay. I don't know if it was a praying mantis alien, but I've had multiple encounters with the horrifying bug people. Now listen up. Do we need... Bizzy, do I have to do this? You did not tell me that I'm the scared one. Bizzy, aliens freak me out. I've told you guys about my friend who... My story of alien abduction where I wasn't abducted, but I'm pretty sure I witnessed someone being abducted, kinda. Did I ever tell you that story? Did I ever tell you that shit? Well, please tell me I've told it to you because I don't want to tell it again tonight. I don't want to tell this story, so please. Okay. So this person has had a encounter with the horrifying bug people. I don't know if there are grays or praying mantises or what the hell they are, but they are very insect-like. I'll try to describe. Usually a very bright white, like milk or plastic, very smooth skin, 5 foot 7 feet tall, huge black eyes. On one instance, I couldn't tell if it was a bug lady or a humanoid lady in a spacesuit. This is creeping me out. Yeah, the tent one. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Connecting with me telepathically by projecting energy. For instance, the energy told me it was female. The energy coming off of them felt extremely oppressive, scary, and emotionless. One time I was on a medical table and the bug lady walked up behind me to check on my head. I just remember being paralyzed in fear of her. At other times I felt I was being hunted down by groups of them. Damn it, Bizzy, I swear, I hate it when you put these kind of stories in. Yes, I have. I still remember its face. I don't think it's something I'll ever forget. This is just from a few days ago. I haven't had a physical encounter with any ETs in a long time, but I had a limited mental connection with a mantis a while back. Is there a follow-up question, or are you just asking if we've been in contact? OP. I hope your username isn't seriously how you view them. Username. What the hell just happened, bro? Oh. Posted by Aliens Are Demons. No, that is how I view aliens. No, I'm not even joking. Okay. I don't have any memories of them, but the first time I heard of the alien race of praying mantises... Look, I'm not telling you I believe in any of this. We're just reading spooky Reddit posts, okay? And these people are being serious. This isn't like tell a fake story. When I stumbled upon the story of the Coronado group abduction in San Diego, I tried my best to dig up any information I could on this particular type of alien, but came back out of the internet mostly empty-handed. If anyone knows more about them or can point me toward abduction stories they make appearances in, I'd greatly appreciate it. Something about them is unique, but I can't quite put my praying finger on it. I added the praying part. One explanation for them I've heard is that they were a race that was assimilated by the Greys in the same way that they assimilated with the tall whites, thus leading to an oft-seen hybrid of tall Greys. I like to imagine the Greys are in process of fully assimilating with the whites, but I've already fully assimilated with the Bugmen, leaving only hybrids left of their race, but it's anyone's guess. I would look up Barbara Lamp on YouTube. She works with some Mantis hybrids and speaks about these species in her books. What? You always learn something when you're on Reddit. Let's take a look. Let's see what she says. I'm interested. You got me. You got me. You guys got me.
As far as they knew in having these things happen. And so after about the 5th person of the 17 asked about that, I decided, okay, let's get these people together. So I started an experiencer support group in 1994, and that group continued on until this past winter.
Barbara Lamp, Meet the Hybrids, Regression Therapy and ET Contact, New Evidence of a Galactic War, Barbara Lamp, Unique Encounters with Extraterrestrials. Well, Barbara, you got me hooked. I'm going to look into your stuff later. Let's keep moving on. Okay, let's find... What? What the hell? Hold the front door, bro. 15-centimeter scar with stitches on the back of my head. Doctor said it's surgery from head trauma. My dad said nothing happened. Now, hold on. Maybe you're dead. Doesn't want you to know. I'm just playing. I have this random scar across the back of my head that's about 15 centimeters long. Every now and then the skin gets super itchy, and one day it was so unbearable I went to the doctor and they said it looked like I had massive head trauma where I received stitches and even had a nurse come in to confirm. But I asked my dad and he swears black and blue that I never went to the hospital and I especially didn't have head trauma. I always joked it was aliens, but that's really the only explanation I can think of. I'm overweight too, so you know when you see those fat people that have the back rolls but like in their head? I thought it was like that, but the doctor mentioned it was stitches. It really has me weirded out. Thoughts here? My thoughts are you're crazy, buddy, but I don't know. Okay. Have I been abducted? No, you just... What? Wait, what? Did you do that on purpose, bruh? Come on. Holy shit, my ex-boyfriend woke up one night with those same 6 dots. I have no idea where it came from. We couldn't figure it out either. That's creepy, dude. Another story of an American abductee. Reading it right now on UNIRock's Rocktober. I thought I did good, Bizzy. Stop criticizing me. Well, wait, what do you want me to say next time? Well, fine. Hold on. UNIRock's Rocktober. Is that better? Okay. All right. Oh, hold up. You got to hear this. Play that saxophone, Bizzy. Play that saxophone. All right, let's go. This is another story of an American abductee. I come as messenger. One of my many missions in this world is to help humans to transition to the new world. The transition's been happening since 1969. After thousands of years of sorcery and technology, humans finally achieved quantum travel. At the beginning of human history, the Anunnaki found a planet which contained all of the characteristics needed for life. Earth. Holy shit, son. What? I ain't reading that. Sorry. For those of you who realize that the ET presence here is not benevolent and we are in grave danger, I invite you to read, share, and sign the Declaration of Human Sovereignty. What the hell's that? Dude, can you just post... I'm going to the other Reddit because I'm sick of this fucking sub. So dumb, dude. Okay, this is alien abduction, and this one just doesn't have anything about alien abduction. This is Reddit/abduction, so let's try it. Abductees want psychic experience have you had? Childhood memories. Okie smoky, this one's creepy. Let's get it. My earliest childhood memory is a dream I had at about 2. I dreamt of seeing a group of 4 or 5 aliens outside my house. I only remember feeling terrified. This was in the 70s, and I had never been exposed to any pictures or information about aliens, but they looked like the classic images you see today. Also, in early childhood, I really believed that I wasn't from this planet. I would tell my family I wanted to go home. I remember at 4 trying to construct a catapult to send me back. Also, around that age, I'd draw pictures of UFOs and detailed control panels. I'm in my 40s, and thinking back on all this, and if it could mean anything, I've never had an alien experience in my adult life other than a long fascination. Just wanted to share these thoughts. Well, could you tell me about an abduction? That's what I'm looking for. Any other abductees remember feeling panic attacks when first exposed to pictures of grays? My book, Questions for Abductees. This is a hypnotherapy. Hundreds of historic audio recordings related to UFOs. Cats and interdimensional extraterrestrials. Oh my god! What? Anyone else have this personal experience? One night, they controlled my cat in its sleep, and that got him to slink off the bed. Seeing him act like he was barely alive, sliding off the bed that way, I jumped up concerned. Long story short, I saw why. He was between me and them. Then last night, they announced themselves again. They like Sunday nights, which is obnoxious. The thunder booming over the house strongly encouraged me to go to bed as per usual, along with some other odd things happening. They were waiting, and they don't like waiting. But this cat refused to go to bed. He never ever misses a meal. Come hell, hurricane, or flash flood, he bullies all the rest of their food at any chance, and he knows they only eat dinner in the bedroom. There's a lot of problems already with this story. Feeding your cats in the bedroom, letting one bully the others, letting one get controlled by aliens. Come on, man. Eating the food in the bedroom is the worst of these offenses, I know, but I hear people say their cats do this. Mine do not, ever. This has been the schedule for years. Subconsciously, I know they protect me from things at night. Oh my god, dude. Yep, they sure do. You keep thinking that, mister. Oh my god, dude. Why don't anyone actually put alien freaking abduction stories? Let me find a good one. Okay, so. Ooh, that's so creepy. I hate the pictures. Wow, this is interesting. While alien abductions did not achieve widespread attention until the 60s, there were many similar stories circulating. UFO emoji? Yeah, if I get enough... If enough of you guys join the channel, I get more emojis for more people that join the channel as a member. So if you want more emojis, join up. We get a few more people, we'll have another emoji. And I will add a UFO for sure. While alien abduction didn't receive widespread attention until the 60s, there were many similar stories circulating decades earlier. These early abduction-like accounts have been dubbed Paleo-abductions by UFO researcher Jerome Clark. At this same two-part article makes note of many paleo-abductions, some of which were reported well before the 57 Antonio Vilas Boas case earned so much attention, or even before the UFO report claimed in 47 by pilot Kenneth Arnold. There was at least one case of an attempted abduction reported in conjunction with the mystery airships of the late 19th century. Colonel H.G. Shaw's account was published in Stockton, California Daily Mail in 1897. Shaw claimed that he and a friend were harassed by 3 tall, slender humanoids whose bodies were covered with a fine, downy hair. The beings tried to accost or kidnap Shaw and his friend, who fought them off. I will do, MD, will do. In his 1923 book, New Lands, American writer Charles Fort, we've talked about Charles Fort before, speculated that extraterrestrial beings might have kidnapped humans. Quote, one supposes that if extra mundane vessels have sometimes come close to Earth, then sailing away, terrestrial aeronauts may have occasionally left the Earth or may have been seized and carried away from the Earth. The 51 case of Fred Reagan, which was publicized by Flying Saucer Review in the 60s, based on news clips from 52, Reagan claimed to have piloted his small airplane, which was struck by a UFO. The occupants resembled metallic stalks of asparagus, apologized, and tried to cure Reagan's cancer. Reagan reportedly died of a brain disorder not long after the alleged encounter. In 54, Paris Match printed a story said to have occurred in 21 when the anonymous writer was a child. The writer claimed to have been snatched by 2 tall men who wore helmets and driving suits and who took the boy to an oddly shaped tank before being released. Rogerson calls the story the earliest known abduction survivor report. In a 1958 letter to NECAP asserted that 2 U.S. Army soldiers witnessed 2 bright red lights near their base. The soldiers had strange senses of disassociation and found themselves in a new location with no memory of how they arrived there. Rogerson writes that the 1955 publication of Harold T. Wilkins' Flying Saucers Uncensored declared that 2 contactees, Carl Hunrath and Wilbur Wilkinson, had disappeared under mysterious circumstances. Wilkins reported speculation that the duo were the victims of alleged abduction by saucers. The so-called Shaver mystery of the 40s has some similarities to later abduction accounts, as well, with sinister beings said to be kidnapping and torturing people. Rogerson writes that John Robinson, a friend of ufology gadfly Jim Mosley, made a 57 appearance on John Neville's popular overnight radio program to tell a dramatically spooky, if not very plausible, abduction tale. Related to Shaver mystery, Robinson claimed that a friend of his had been held captive by the evil Deros beneath the earth, and to have been the victim of some sort of mind control via small earphones. Rogerson writes that, in this unlikely tale, that we first encountered the implants and other abductionist staples. Wow. This shit creeps me out, bros. Matheson writes that if Jacobson's credentials were impressive, then those of Harvard psychiatrist John Mack might seem impeccable. Mack is a well-known, highly esteemed psychiatrist, author of 150 scientific articles, and winner of the Pulitzer Prize for his biography of T.E. Lawrence. Mack became interested in the phenomenon in the 80s, interviewing dozens of people and eventually writing 2 books. Mack was somewhat more guarded in his investigations and interpretations of abduction phenomenon than earlier researchers. Matheson writes on balance, Mack does present a fair-minded account. As has been encountered to date, at least these abduction narratives go. Furthermore, Mack notes when alternative interpretations are viable throughout abduction, his first book on the subject, he allows and even considers likely that alien abductions are a new type of visionary experience. His notes, unlike earlier abduction researchers, Mack is generally quite cautious in interpreting physical evidence and corroborative testimony. He places little value in scars and scratches often attributed to medical exams and argues trying to prove the actuality of alleged implants placed in abductees is a futile effort. Then they talk about David Icke. The abductions are strictly linked with military genetic experiments conducted by alien beings operating together with various terrestrial army forces. Therefore, these abductions are only part of a wider conspiracy. I've watched a lot of David Icke stuff, and I have to say, as strange as Icke's stories are, what the hell's this? We'll check it out. Icke has some really strange stories, guys. I'm not even joking. 100 alien abduction stories that'll make you believe. 1. Allagash alien abductions. In 1976, 4 friends in their early 20s went camping in rural Maine. On the second night, they noticed a bright light, but nothing more. On the third night, they decided to try fishing. I've heard this one. In the canoe, they noticed a bright light again. One of the men used a flashlight to flash SOS. The light expanded and enveloped all 4 men. That's the last thing they remember. They woke up at their campsite with no recollection of what ended up happening with the light or how they got off the water. The fire they stoked before they left and minutes ago, intending to still be burning when they returned, was burned down to embers. The aftermath was that Jack was the first to start having nightmares. In these dreams, he saw beings with long necks and large heads. He saw the beings examining his arm while Jim, Chuck, and Charlie sat on a nearby bench, not able to intervene. The beings had large metallic glowing eyes with no lids, and their hands were insect-like, with 4 fingers. The other 3 men were experiencing similar dreams with short mental clips of that night on the lake. In '88, out of curiosity, Jim attended a UFO conference. Weiner met Fowler afterwards and related his encounter. The investigator was excited about Jim's story, especially the fact that it was a multiple witness occurrence. Fowler suggested to Jim that he and the others undergo regressive hypnosis. After the sessions, it was revealed that all 4 of the men had memories of being abducted and subjected to humiliating physical examinations, including the taking of skin and fluid samples. The description of the aliens was consistent. The 4 men, being artists, were able to make detailed sketches of the entities, the craft, the examining instruments. Chuck Rack added that the aliens' test area was similar to a vet's office with a silvery table. He also related a strange fact. He had much difficulty in focusing on the aliens. When he tried, he couldn't put an exact image to them. He compared it to trying to tune in to a fuzzy radio station. After the psychiatric experiments, all 4 of the men were deemed to be mentally stable, and they all passed lie detector tests. That is spooky as hell. Spooky as hell! Let's move on. In 1973, excuse me. In 1973, 2 co-workers were fishing off of a pier in the Pascagoula River when they heard a buzzing and saw flashing blue lights. A UFO appeared. 3 humanoid creatures dragged them on board. Inside the craft, they were examined for about 20 minutes before being levitated back to the pier. Afterwards, they went to the police to report it. While the detectives left the two alone in the room, their conversation was unknowingly recorded. Here is what they said. Charlie said, I never have seen nothing like that before in my life. You can't make people believe. Calvin, I don't want to keep sitting here. I want to see a doctor. Charlie, they better wake up and start believing. They better start believing. Calvin, you see how that damn door came right up? Charlie, I don't know how it opened, son. I don't know. Calvin, it just laid up, just like those son bitches, just like they came out. Charlie, I know you can't believe it. You can't make people believe it. Calvin, I paralyzed right then. I couldn't move. Charlie, they won't believe it. They gonna believe it one of these days. Might be too late. I knew all along they was people from other worlds up there. I knew all along. I never thought it would happen to me. That's fucking creepy. That's freaking creepy, bro. This man claims to be abducted many times, beginning when he was 5 years old.
While researching my books, I've personally investigated hundreds of abduction cases, but one man's story truly haunts me. His name is Jesse Long. He claims to have been abducted many times since he was a boy, and the abductions he describes are terrifying. If what Jesse tells me is true, then there is a very surprising future in store for all of us. Jesse, when do you first recall being abducted?
My first abduction occurred in 1957 when I was 5 years old in Rogersville, Tennessee, a very small town in Upper East Tennessee. My brother John was with me at the time. Above the hill behind our house, we came upon what appeared to be a round house under construction. And one man, a taller looking figure, he had a rod, long rod in his hand. A light was emitted from it and we were paralyzed.
It is at this point that Jesse Long's conscious memory of what happened ends. He says it's only through hypnosis that he's been able to remember the rest of this first abduction. What you are seeing is actual footage of Jesse undergoing hypnotic regression.
You will not be
I remember being taken into the craft, taken into one room. I was placed on a very cold, flat table. My brother was separated and he was taken into another room.
I can't take it. I can't take that shit, bro. I'm not gonna keep playing it because it scares me, Bizzy. Maybe I get scared sometimes, but you're scared most of the time. Fine, I can handle it. I can handle it.
They were doing something down to my legs. I could feel them poking and prodding around my legs.
According to Jesse, his abductors inserted a small item, an alien implant, into his left shin.
And it was in my body for 34 years.
Could you feel it inside you? What did it feel like?
I'm
It was always
scared,
painful.
Lava.
I always
That
had to wear
scared
my
me.
socks
I'm not
below
kidding.
the incision point because it was painful.
In 1991, Jesse had the foreign object removed from his leg.
There it is.
This is actual footage of that procedure.
No way.
That's a good half-inch long.
This is the object that was in my leg. And unfortunately, during the initial test that was done on it, it was broken into 2 pieces. But that allowed us to look at the inside.
Some have dismissed the object as simply a shard of glass. But when it was analyzed at Southwest Research Institute, a materials analysis facility in Texas, the conclusions suggested a greater mystery. According to the lab's report, the object revealed a very remarkable composition and exhibited unique surface characteristics that cannot be explained, and that the questions outnumber the answers.
When the object was removed, I was convinced that whatever this object was had something to do with all of my abductions.
Jesse Long believes he has experienced a number of abductions since that first incident in 1957. And they became more and more horrific as he grew into an adult.
Most of my abductions occurred very similarly. When they brought me into the craft, they would take me down a long hallway.
I'm not freaked out.
They would place me on a flat table. Of course, I was paralyzed and had to be because I was kicking and screaming. I didn't want to be there.
Okay. Seriously, okay. So I think about abductions sometimes. I've read books on them back in the late 90s, back when, you know, the internet wasn't as popular and you didn't have cell phones and you had to go to the library and get a book if you wanted to read it or buy it or order it from a catalog or whatever, right? And I continue to talk about them because of the fact I've told you my friend being abducted, and I had a friend, if you didn't hear it, I'm not going to tell the story, but he told, for hours, he told me about an abduction that happened to him. And I got to ask him questions like why they were doing it, like how long it happened to him. He said, now this is when I was like, let's say 14 or 15 when he told me all this. And so what you got to understand is back then when he told me this, it was like mid-90s. So it wasn't popular. Like, it was really rare to even talk about alien abduction. UFOs got talked about sometimes, but it was really, really rare, and it didn't come up that often, and you'd barely ever see anything on television for years about it. You might get an Unsolved Mysteries that had, like, detailing, like, a case or something. But anyway, all I want to say about it is my friend in the mid-90s told me about him being abducted by aliens, and it sounds not only exactly like this guy's story, but it sounds like people's stories from all over the world. Now, when they say that alien abduction was like only talked about in like 1940 for the first time, or 1890 in a book mentioned once, that's not true. All through human history, they talked about abductions. They talked about fairies or demons that came in the night and would, the same exact story, same story, but they called them fairies or they called them aliens, or I'm sorry, fairies or demons. So it's almost like as society changes, these stories still permeate, but they kind of get updated based on society. And is it possible that back then they were describing this the whole time without the, you know, knowledge or capacity to explain fully what this is? Yes, that's very possible. They even have demons that are written about in ancient Ethiopian folklore, ancient Sumerian and Assyrian folklore, that are written because of the fact that people had these experiences. So in religious texts and just in stories and spoken word, they pass these stories down as a way to explain people, you know, all over the world, even back then, reporting this stuff. Now, is it possible that this happens to a lot of people, but just like any medical, you know, there are some people you'll put to sleep for a surgery and they'll wake up. There are some people that will remember a surgery even though they're knocked out. What I'm saying is human beings don't react the same way to medical procedures as others. And basically at any time, any rare thing can happen. So is it possible that people are experiencing something like this? I think it is. Now, I'm logical as hell. I'm so logical that when people tell crazy stories, I'm trying to figure out if they're lying to me or not. I'm skeptical about shit sometimes, right? But it goes a little too far when you have people in every state, every country, every, you know, place all over the world that have some form of story that all sound the same in a very large number. And then, to even complicate matters, you've got the Prime Minister of Japan, I think it was, or it could have been China's leader. I forget what he's called. No, it was Japan. The Prime Minister of Japan talked about how he had been abducted. We're talking credible people. We have doctors that talk about it. We've got people from all over the world that talk about this shit, man. And it doesn't matter if they're crazy. It doesn't matter if they're, you know, the most normal people in the world. If they talk like it really did happen to them. It leads me to think after all this time that something's happening. Am I going to say it's aliens from another world? No. But when I was an atheist a long time ago, I would have told you it's most likely either the government itself or an entity doing this, like an organization in the government, maybe not abducting people at night, but possibly doing fucked up shit to people and then remembering it later by expressing it this way. And as I got more, once I realized though, once I became accepting that there is a creator to this world, and I basically found myself religious, I've had to rethink that. It's really crazy because I became religious, and then it was a long time later before I even realized, wait a minute, what does that say about abduction? What does that say about this? And I really do think, though, look, I have had family members and met people's family members, my girlfriend's family members, not necessarily Rachel's, but other girlfriends I've been with, and, you know, my friends' family that are very religious, and they are old school religious. What I'm saying is their family has taken religion paramount, like seriously to a paramount, right? And they pass that down to their kids very, very seriously. So the thing is, they tell their kids, and I've been told this by people, I'm sure a lot of you guys have, that if you open a door, they call it opening a door. It's not opening a door, but it's performing actions that allow evil into your life. Like, some people say that those are superstitious beliefs. But some people, the people that believe this stuff, think that if you try to talk to spirits, if you try to talk to ghosts, if you try to summon aliens and stuff like that, that what you're doing is inviting demonic entities into your life. Now, then you go down another spectrum, the spectrum of the extremely religious, right? And then most people in that situation believe in demonic abduction, and they believe in demonic possession. And even now, to this day, you know that there are people that perform exorcisms, like, you know, the Catholic Church will perform an exorcism. They just don't talk about it a lot, but it happens. There's recorded exorcisms that'll scare the living socks off of you. Anyway, though, outside of the realm of that, do I think there's something, and what do I think it is? Honestly, if I was to say, do I believe people that, to some extent, just because of the sheer number of reports? Oh, yeah, I do. I have to. I mean, it just logically, you say to yourself, something's going on. Since I got religious, I'll admit it's possible. I want to say to myself, you know what? Maybe there's just a government entity. Maybe there's just like something fucked up happening here that's actually doing something physical to people, that's manifesting in dreams or in experiences like this. But I'll tell you this, more than I believe in a lot of crazy conspiracies, I would say it could be likely that it is some type of demonic entity. And so if you were to ask me, Give me a percentage in what you believe. I would say like 99% there's some kind of explanation. Just because I'm logical. But if you were to say, what's the 1% though? I'd say 0.5% is that it's demonic. 0.5% says it's alien. 99% says there's some explanation. Now, that means that I barely believe that something really out there is happening, but I'm telling you, just as much as I believe it could be an alien thing, it could be a demonic type thing. I think it is just as possible. You got me? Something I would have never said back when I was an atheist, right? I know, long speech, UNIRock. Let's hear a tiny second more of this, and then I'm going to read you another abduction story, and then we're going to end this out. We're going to end this stream. Okay, I still got a little bit of time. We're going to end this stream out when I go down and read you some really spooky stories that I found to save for the end.
The experiments on the table included a sperm extraction. The sperm extraction procedure is the most traumatic and has caused me the most problems in that they actually force me to crossbreed with what seems to be a female being.
Okay, you're gonna wake up. 1.
If I was the actor and they wanted me to act in that shit, they'd have to pay me some serious cheddar cheese, bros. Ain't no way I'm acting in that shit. Not letting even the dude in a costume come up and do, like, be all alien-like with my ass. Not my ass, but you know what I'm saying, okay? I'm not talking about anal probes. Chill out, chat. Okay, back to what we were saying. Another crazy, creepy thing, man, is in these abduction scenarios, they all talk about sexual... They talk about genetic manipulation. That's kind of fucking freaky, right? What's even more freaky is that the Sumerian tablets that a lot of people talk about, they do have parts of the Sumerian tablets that say, a lot of people describe the Ark, Noah's Ark, as a collection of DNA to save the DNA. Like, you know, the Earth is kind of like an experiment. And then they talk about how a group of beings, which they don't really, they do kind of mention that they're from another planet, but I think they're assuming, what I mean is, you've heard a lot of people talk about the Anunnaki, and a lot of people say that they're a race from another planet that travels to Earth and all that shit, right? But they're just reading a translated, they're reading this translated from cuneiform text. And a lot of people admit that some of the words they're translating could mean other things. Is it possible that they're saying that it's just more of a religious text and not as much of a physical thing? I think it is. Ancient religious texts and books that talk about demons, hell, and evil things, they describe types of like genetic manipulation and things. I know it's spooky. I'm sorry to say it, but it happens. Let's move on, because I'm scaring myself, and I want to get off of this subject and go on to some other stories. If you made it through this spooky part of this broadcast, thank you. Thank you very much for watching my Rocktober broadcast, where all through October we're going to focus on spooky things, creepy things, and maybe some more paranormal type stuff. But don't worry, you're still watching UNIRock. So I am going to try to rationalize it logically like I do everything else. But you can't ignore the fact that this stuff is brought up, it's talked about, and a lot of people take it seriously. I do too. But I am one of the people, even though I think it's necessary to study it, to understand it, and to be informed about it, I still think it's important to keep a rational, logical mind throughout the whole thing. And I want you to make sure you understand that mostly on all paranormal reports, I do have a large part of my mind that sits in logic and states that it's most likely some explanation. I will state it though every time. There's still a big part of me that takes it very seriously. Let's move into this. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. Spooky Rocktober on UNIRock. We will be getting there. Yes, Atressa. We will go. We're going to be looking at... So, okay, this is a perfect time. So later, all through the month, we're going to be doing a Rocktober broadcast often. We're going to look at reports of demonic stories, allegations, right? Pictures of paranormal happenings, early ones. When computers became prominent, a lot of faked ones happened. I want to look at the early stuff that would have been almost impossible to fake before Photoshop was a thing. Those are the ones we're going to look at. We're going to be looking at all kinds of stuff, man. I can't even describe all of it. There's going to be parts of the Rocktober broadcast are going to look at ancient, mythological, and religious detailings from thousands of years ago. We're going to look at the demons of Ethiopia, which include, if you remember my Avril Lavigne video, remember that so-called clone was named Melissa Vandella, and remember how I discovered that Vandella is actually an ancient Ethiopian vampire that is recorded thousands of years ago, and that's probably why the person that made up the Avril Lavigne conspiracy chose the word Vandella. But we're going to talk about Vandellas, vampires. We're going to talk about the ancient queen of the vampires, which was a real religious staple of ancient Ethiopian lore. We just got so much to hit. I've got it all planned out. I've got it all ready for you. When I was taking some time off to chill over the last couple weeks, I was getting Rocktober ready for you. So sit back and relax. Spend some time live right here on UNIRock while we rock into Rocktober. Shut up, Bizzy. That wasn't too much. I didn't do too much right there. That wasn't too much. Bizzy was all like, "That's too much, UNIRock." Or he sounded,
That's too much, UNIRock.
it wasn't too much, bro. It's Rocktober. You can never be too spooky on Rocktober. Antonio Vilas Boas was a Brazilian farmer who was working at night because it was too hot to work during the day when he saw a red star in the sky. As the light grew stronger, closer, he tried to drive away in his tractor, but it died. He then tried running when he was accosted by 4 humanoid creatures that dragged him into the now landed craft. They stripped him, covered him with gel, and then took blood samples. This is where it gets weird. A female humanoid creature appeared and they had sex. Some hand motions followed that Boas took to mean that he had impregnated the creature and then she was going to leave, have the child, and raise it wherever she was from. Then they gave him a tour of the spaceship before dropping him off. He went on to become a lawyer and have a family, if that means anything to you as whether he was crazy. I'm telling you, there are so many thousands of people that report that they get abducted, that they bump uglies with the space creature, and then get dropped back off. And, you know, it's just an abduction story, man. They just talk about this all the time. Clayton and Donna Lee abduction. Those two. See them? He's all like, "Stop telling people we got abducted. I was embarrassed by the process." And she's all like, "Don't be embarrassed, honey. We were abducted." And he's all like, "I told you, stop talking about the anal probe." And she's all like, "You have to tell people. It's for history. We got to report history." That's what I think. You don't see that in that picture? Well, that's just too bad for you. All right, let's go. You're sick, Bizzy. I was just joking. You know what? You're one of those social stop act. Just because you're now in a relationship with the social justice dolphin does not mean you get to go full social justice warrior on. Well, yes, you are judging me because I tell a funny story about that picture. A Texas-based husband and wife claim to have been abducted by aliens multiple times, including once where a fetus was stolen from Donna by the alien trespassers. Clayton claims that he was a child visiting a park the very first time that he was abducted, and that he feels the aliens might be studying him throughout his life. Quote, "I remember just floating up higher," Donnelly recounted about her experience. "And all that was around were stars and blackness. Then I blacked out." The couple have had their memories of this event awakened by a local psychologist who ironically doesn't believe in aliens herself. They have both drawn sketches of the aliens and appeared on multiple media outlets to talk about their story, including this one on the O'Reilly Factor. Now, I must warn you, some people think that Bill O'Reilly is in fact an alien and that he's trying to thwart the alien invasion by interviewing abductees and implanting his own type of memories in them. That is a UNIRock patented conspiracy theory. Put it in the book, Bizzy. I just made up a conspiracy theory. Why did I mix theory with busy? I always do. All right, you were abducted multiple amounts of times, says O'Reilly. Yes, yes. Did you ever talk to the abductees? I mean, did they tell you where they were from or anything? That's that's my impersonation. Deal with it. No, that I don't have any remembering at all. Having the conversation, no. So they just swept you away from somewhere. Where'd they put you? Different places, different times. I've had memories of being on what I consider the ship because I know it was someplace other than any place I'd ever visited before. So, were you in some kind of vehicle? Yeah, it was a ship, dumbass. I'm just kidding. That's not what he said. Yeah, it was a vehicle, a room. It was a very cold metal. A lot of metal. A lot of metal. Did you see the aliens? Yes. What did they look like? What I saw on that particular visit, they were tall, slender, blonde, looked human, but not human. Not quite human. All right. They didn't really use their voices to talk. And they cut off the rest of the conversation, which went something like this. Are you really just lying about this because it was Hillary Clinton that abducted you? No, I swear. Tell the truth, it was Hillary Clinton, wasn't it? No, I wasn't Hillary.
She was abducted by aliens. Now, before you start laughing, just listen to what Amy Rylance and her best friend, who
Before you start laughing,
witnessed the event, have to say.
I don't remember being taken, just like I don't remember being dropped off. I was asleep when it happened.
She may have been dreaming, but Amy Rylance says she didn't imagine it when a spaceship landed in her front yard and took her away.
Do you believe in aliens or UFOs?
Are you sure she doesn't live in a spaceship? What the hell is that? Is that the engine? Is that the thruster? And that's the satellite dish, the radar to communicate with people? And that's the front porch of the alien ship?
I do now. I definitely do now.
I believe in it now because I've seen it and I know what I saw.
Amy's friend Petra was also in the house that night and claims she was woken by a bright light.
I've seen Amy in front of me on a beam of light being carried out of the living room window into a really huge ship outside.
The only evidence this happened, a torn curtain and a burnt bush.
What the hell?
Apparently singed by the bright light which carried sleeping Amy out the window.
No, I don't drink. I don't take drugs at all.
Uh-oh. You know how you can tell if someone takes drugs at all? Because they go, huh, and then the tape messes up. It's confirmed.
I don't take drugs at all. I'm just a normal person.
So what was your...
I'm a detective.
...reaction when you saw this? What did you do? Did you reach out to help her?
No, I couldn't. I was shocked. I couldn't believe it and I fainted.
Next to wake up was Amy's husband, Keith.
I freaked out completely. I went mental, running around, screaming for her. But after I believed Petra, which I did after about 5 minutes, I called the police.
How seriously though?
Stop laughing.
Even though he has trouble answering questions about the abduction, Detective Senior Sergeant Leith Lindsay says police have to take it seriously.
Police, you look away while I look at you.
Yeah, I don't like him. You're not taking the subject seriously, Mr. Detective. How do we know you're not involved? Yeah. You think we're on to you, buddy. Trying to make a joke out of it just because you're in it with the aliens. Why do you keep making noise when I push play? It's weird. Busy? Tell your girlfriend to shut up. I can talk to her like that. She's my employee. In a chilling story that 3 different people were involved in, a 21-year-old named Amy was abducted right out of the window of her lounge room by some sort of flying craft. Amy's husband, Keith, had already gone to bed, while her friend Petra stayed up to read in the other room. Hold up. Hold up. Keith went to bed. Petra is reading in the other room. Is she just in denial? I think she's in denial. Okay. Petra was abruptly disrupted by a blinding light coming from the lounge room and the sound of shattering glass. The rectangular beam of light was shining into the room, and according to Petra, she saw Amy being pulled out of the window by the light, still apparently asleep. Keith then woke up. Both he and Petra searched the house and surrounding area for Amy, who was nowhere to be seen. Keith eventually called the police. Amy turned up miles away with strange marks on her thigh. Are you fucking joking? And bizarrely extensive body hair growth. Why doesn't it say what body hair grew? I mean, if it was any type of regular armpit hair, facial hair, I mean, it says body.
This story being a woman just kind of freaks me out a little bit. I'm sorry to say it.
These stories get weirder and weirder. That's what Rocktober is here on UNIRocktober. Thanks for watching.
Ago, a funny thing happened to Kirsan Ilumzhinov.
It was happened in 17th September.
She got abducted and then she grew a beard. That's what it was. I think they'd say facial hair if she had grown a beard. I'm not gonna... Stop talking. No more talking about this. Act like this never happened. Busy, edit this out in post-production. Thank you. Nope, this is never going to be spoke of again here on UNIRock.
I remember in Moscow, it was happened in my apartment.
At the time, he was the elected president of Kalmykia, long before President Putin changed things so that Kalmyks can no longer elect their leader, but simply have one appointed for them instead. On a trip to Moscow, in his apartment in the capital, Ilumzhinov was abducted by aliens.
I was taken by my apartment in Moscow to this spaceship, and we went to some star, and after that I asked them, please bring me back, because next day I should come to Kalmykia, to Elista, and go to Ukraine. Yeah, and no problem, Kirsan, it's, we have time, yeah.
How much of that experience do you...
Oh, no problem. The abduction won't take much time. We swear. let's see here. Let's go over this really quick before we continue. Vladimir Putin takes him out of power. Vladimir Putin puts himself into power. Vladimir Putin changes the government so that no one else can be elected into power. He gets abducted by aliens. He sees Vladimir Putin inside the UFO. Could it just be that Vladimir Putin abducted the guy and bullied him so that he wouldn't tell anyone, you know, about the political coup that he had just did? I'm not a political analyst, but...
Do you recall? Can you describe to me what actually happened?
They're like people like ours, yeah. They have the same mind, the same vision and so on, and I talked with them, yeah. I understand that we are not alone in this old world, yeah. We are not unique, yeah.
I did wonder, but couldn't quite bring myself to ask.
I'm not crazy man, yeah, but after that, when I gave the first interview in Radio Freedom in Russia 5 years ago, thousands, not hundreds, thousands people write a letter to me, calls by phone. Oh, Kirsan, you are a politician and you are not afraid to say about it. From the United States, every year, more than, it's official statistic, every year more than 4,000 people, who contacted such people. My theory, chess comes from...
I actually believe this guy, all joking aside. I find this guy extremely credible, just like the Japanese Prime Minister.
From the space. Why? Because the same rules, 64, this is 64 squares, black and white, and the same rules in Japan, in China, in Qatar, in Mongolia, in Africa, but the rules are the same. Why? I think it seems maybe from the space.
I get what he's saying. He's saying that there was a board game like chess, or maybe he's describing chess, but it was like chess, and it's played with the exact same rules for back into ancient time, all over these different places, historically, even where they're said that they didn't have contact with each other. I get what he's saying. Very interesting case of abduction there. Kirsan Ilyamaskinov, the former president of the only Buddhist political state, avidly claims that he was once kidnapped by creatures not of this world. He says they abducted him off of his apartment balcony and took him to the spaceship. Yeah. I was taken... that's too... Hold on, I gotta turn that down just a bit. Taken from my apartment in Moscow to this spaceship, and we went to some star, and after that I asked, please bring me back, because the next day, I gotta be in Kalmykia. They said, no problem, Kirsan, you have time. When pressed for details, he said, they're like us, same mind, same vision. Ship was enormous. One of its chambers was the size of a large football pitch. We landed on one of the planets and picked up a piece of equipment. They told me everything in detail. Allegedly, while he was abducted, his staff came looking for him and was unable to locate him until he inexplicably appeared in his apartment hours later. I like this page. You know what? I'm going to put this into its own folder. Because we need to go back to this for October.
Astonished.
All of them have like original sourced interviews with the people. This is crazy awesome.
But just occasionally there is physical evidence to back up reports of close encounters. On the morning of November the 9th, 1979, forestry worker Bob Taylor walked down this woodland track outside Livingston New Town near Edinburgh. He rounded a corner and was astonished to be confronted by an unearthly object.
It was a huge thing with a big round dome, a very dark grey colour, and it had a big flange going all the way around. I could see arms sticking out of this flange with what I took to be blades on the top.
Later, he described what he'd seen to a local newspaper artist who drew this sketch.
as I stood here, there was 2 balls came out, 2 balls. I think they'd be about 3 feet in diameter with about 6 spikes. And they were rolling on these spikes. They came right up beside me. And I remember feeling a tug at that time. A very powerful smell, a choking sort of smell. And that was it.
He crawled up this path and staggered home, to be met on the doorstep by his bewildered wife.
It looked terrible when he came in the door, and he just stood at the door, and I said, "Have you had an accident with your lorry?" And he said, "No, I've been attacked." And I said, "What with?" And he said, "A spaceship." And I said, "Oh, goodness me, there's no such a thing as a spaceship."
Oh, goodness me. You've been out drinking again, Wilbur.
I'm going to phone the doctor. You must have fell and hurt your head. He looked quite shocked, and he was drained. He was right white, and his face was dirty, and he had a red scar here. And his clothes were all dirty, and his trousers. And then he told me his trousers had been torn.
Police station, Bathgate. The police were called, and they discovered inexplicable track marks at the scene of the incident.
On examining the area, I found 2 track marks in approximately 40 holes in the ground. And these are the track marks here.
Wait.
And these are the 40 holes. Since then, I've photographed the holes. This is a photograph of the hole here. This is the holes that measured approximately 3.5 inches. And this other photograph here, you can actually see the tread marks which correspond to the marks here. These markings and tracks were actually inside this area here that's fenced off. And there was definitely no other tracks leading to or from this area.
These are the trousers worn by Mr. Taylor. As you can see, they're of fairly heavy material. We have a tear on the left, just below the pocket, and one on the right trouser leg, again just below the pocket. These marks are consistent with the material having been pulled up while the trousers were being worn.
Well, I'm pretty certain that day that I saw a spaceship sitting here.
We must accept the story of Mr. Taylor. He is a very highly respected member of the community, a man of high integrity, and not one likely to invent such a story.
Whoa! My goodness, I've never ever heard of that one before. Robert Taylor. Let's read what it says, and then we're gonna end this out. We're like 8 minutes till out of time. I'm gonna, of course, talk to you for 2 seconds before we jump. So let's see what it wrote here, because man, this is just too much. I want to look this guy up. Let me text it. Robert Taylor. It's got its own Wikipedia. Well, we need to hit this real quick. I can't stand looking at these pictures. I can't stand it. ET, phone, home, and get off my screen, brah. All right. Robert Taylor was a forestry worker. He was heading to work in the woods when he turned a corner and saw a UFO. All at once, 2 small spheres. They made a sound as the spikes moved over the earth. They stopped beside him, grabbing his trouser, dragged him back to the UFO. Similar to the UFO, only smaller. They could smell a strong, sickening odor, lost consciousness. When he regained, his spheres were gone, but his red setter was still there. The dog was panicky, running around and barking. Found that his voice was gone, very weak. When he tried to stand, he couldn't. He crawled for a time until he was able to stand again. Finally went back to the truck, radio for the headquarters, could not speak. Stuck in the mud, he started a long walk of a mile back to the house. His wife phoned the police, remarking that he looked terrible. The police investigated, having no explanation for the bizarre tracks left at the scene. No aircraft, civilian or military, was scheduled to be in the area, according to comprehensive flight logs. The next one is Travis Walton, which all of you have heard about, the Travis Walton story. It was Fire in the Sky. The movie Fire in the Sky is based off of it. Robert Taylor incident. In ufology, Livingston incident, Detman Woods encounter is the name given to the claims of sighting an extraterrestrial spacecraft on Detman Law in Livingston, West Lothian, Scotland in '79. When Taylor returned home from a trip to Deshman Law, disheveled, we ran that. We'll go down. Okay, his story drew attention from ufologists who erected a plaque on the site. Taylor became notable among UFO enthusiasts for being involved in the only UFO sighting that was subject to a criminal investigation. Ufologist and author Malcolm Robinson accepts his story, saying he believes it could be one of the few genuine cases of a UFO encounter. Skeptical reception. So there's a little debunking here, just like always in Wikipedia. In '79, the UFO skeptic Stuart Campbell visited the scene of the incident. Campbell was convinced a simple explanation would be found. On his second visit, he stated that he observed some PVC pipes in an adjoining field. He discovered the local water authority had laid a cable duct within 100 meters of the clearing, came to the conclusion the stacks of pipes may have been stored in the clearing and were responsible for the ground mark. So what, he's saying that the guy faked it, like went around sticking, pushing down into the ground these pipes for some reason, and then taking them out so they could look, Patricia Hammond, founder of Edinburgh University UFO Research and a qualified physician, advised Campbell on medical aspects of the case. She suggested that Taylor's collapse was an isolated attack of temporal lobe epilepsy, and it explained hallucinations. He had meningitis, reports of a strong smell which no one else could detect, headache, dry throat, paralysis of the legs, and unconscious suggest it's the cause. Steve Donnelly, a physicist and editor for The Skeptic, also considered the incident to be explained by an epileptic attack. Bullshit. You want to know why? Look, I get it. It seems like it's possible it could be all these things combined. But it's not like this guy had an epileptic attack, went home, and then, you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make sense that it had an epileptic attack, but when they went to look, there's all these different markings on the ground there. That's just crazy. And why would he describe this machine doing this, have his pants ripped, and then have all these things, markings on the ground? That just seems too much to be. I get it. Sometimes it's easy to debunk something. Other times it's not. It's just weird. Okay. I hope you guys like chilling with me while we look at some of the more extreme cases that we haven't looked at in a while of strange things happening, especially as we keep going on and get closer to Halloween. We're going to get more and more close to looking at occultic Halloween kind of things while we do my playlist, my series, UNIRock Rocktober. It's just supposed to be like a Halloween celebration kind of deal. October's a creepy time. It's fall. It starts getting cold. I love the month. I love the fall. I love all the mythology and lore around Halloween and all those things. I think it's going to be a fun, awesome shows, but even more so, it gives us an excuse to get back to what we used to do all the time, which is find strange, cool things to look at every night. So I hope you're with me for it. I hope you enjoy it. If you like it, press the like button. I appreciate you guys. Bake for Life, Liz, Neo, Darkosis, Mid-City Digital, Trippin' Falls, He Hate Me, Deceptions, Dominus, Sheena Living Waters. I love you guys. Also, I'm going to pause it for a minute because I want to get serious with you for a second. Lately, I've been talking a lot about how there's an active agenda in our country, in my opinion, to destroy the Constitution of the United States. I feel this truly from the bottom of my heart, because even the people out there who claim that they are for preserving our Constitution, many of them do not actually act like and make decisions and behave in a way that is consistent with preserving our Constitution. I do believe this is why we see a guilty until proven innocent instead of innocent until proven guilty mentality forming in our country, and I feel it could do significant damage to constitutional preservation and to just us being a civilized, good, intelligent, fair, skeptical society. And instead of going into a long speech about all this, I'm going to do a show in the next couple days after I have time to fully read this thing that I always carry around with me and have always had ever since the military, which is the Constitution of the United States and the Declaration of Independence 1985 to 1992 Commission on the Bicentennial of the United States Constitution. I kept this. I've always taken it with me when I move, or when I was, when I would go places, and I like looking at this at least once a year and reading it and remembering it, if not multiple times a year. It's always good to read the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, because you start to forget sometimes. You start to lose track of what's important. You start to lose track of what got our country and our world to the place it is now. So I hope you will tune in. I will name the stream something where you get it'll state it. But we're gonna go through this and read some of the best parts, if not all of it, and we're gonna look deep into this in the hopes that maybe we can inspire some more people out there to read through it and actually do more than just read it, and do more than just say you're for free speech or say that you're for these things. This is a quote from Alexander Hamilton in 1775. I'm going to go ahead and roll out of here after I read this. Quote, "The sacred rights of mankind are not to be rummaged for among old parchments or musty records. They are written as with a sunbeam in the whole volume of human nature by the hand of the divinity itself, and can never be erased or obscured by mortal power." Alexander Hamilton, 1775. The Declaration of Independence was the promise. The Constitution was the fulfillment. I'm UNIRock. Thanks for watching. Follow me on Twitter at UNIRocktv. Tune into my live shows. Watch the replays. Press the like button. Press the share button. And come hang out with me again, because you guys rock and I love you. I'm never gone for long because I like you. I love you. I want some more of you. So I'll be back soon. But until I get here, be nice in the comments. Those are people on the other side, so you should always be kind. Just never be afraid to speak your mind, because me and Bizzy do it all the time. Isn't that right, Biz? Play that saxophone. Let's go. Come on, Bizzy. Get down. Get down to Funky Town, baby. Yes, Bizzy, we are off the air. Oh, I was right the whole time, huh? You're freaked out now, huh? You're all scared because of those aliens? I told you, Bizzy, you are chicken. You are scared. You get scared of any little noise that happens. But you know what? I won't be mean. I won't put you down for it. No, I mean it. What do you want me to do to help you feel better tonight so that you're not all spooked out, so that you can actually go to sleep? What do I do about it? Oh my goodness, you cannot sleep in bed between me and Rachel. Bizzy, you cannot crawl. Okay, fine. Just because it's Rocktober, you can crawl in bed with us tonight. You're welcome, just don't tell anybody.